did it like that, and now we do it like this. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Did it like that, and now we do it like this. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Did it like that.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to go through how to make your own DIY cable pulley system for an absolute bargain price. So literally anywhere from €50 to below, and depending on what quality of equipment you want to get, you could be looking at spending maybe £100 max. But when you see the price of similar systems online that are pretty much identical to what we can make, you're still saving yourself an absolute fortune. Okay, before we get started on this though, I want to give a big shout out to Coop over at Garage Gym Reviews on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. This is where I took the inspiration for this video. I'm just putting my own little spin on it, obviously, as I'm here in Ireland, just showing like exactly what stores and that I went to and where I got my equipment here. Okay, so let's get to it. Before we head off to get our materials, it's probably a good idea that you know kind of roughly what length of cable you're going to need, just so that you don't end up buying like a whole lot. Now the cable itself is quite cheap. You're going to use, it's only around $2.50 or so per meter, but still there's no harm like that. We don't want to get too much of an excess. So depending on the setup we're going to use, if we're just going to be using a high cable setup, so let's say we're doing like tricep push downs or face pulls or any exercise like that, all we're going to need is enough cable to basically reach the floor and go up to our anchor point, and then just a little bit more excess off that then again, and then our attachment can kind of hang on to that, okay? But like I said, you're better off going a little bit longer than a little bit shorter. And then obviously I can just cut off my excess, okay? So if I'm going to go for a low cable setup, what I need to have is I need to be able to have the anchor point coming up, and then that's going to come across to a separate position then from here. So if it's in the rack like so, I want to have it that it is adjustable. Now obviously if I am just going to be say anchoring it across to maybe chest height here, I'm not going to need that much, but you are going to want the cable long enough that it can go from the top and all the way down to the bottom as if you have a low cable setup, okay? So for me again,
Move with the grooves, move like Geeky Dan. Who is the man?
5 meters there or so. Okay, because you want a little bit of excess out either end, just for your anchor point. So I'm going to go and probably just get a cut that is 5 meters or so, and I already have some cables made up before that are a little bit shorter, so I'm going to show you how to work kind of everything both ways.
Before we head out, let's take a look at exactly what materials we need to get. We'll take a look at where we can get those and what our options are for creating a cheaper build out or a slightly more expensive build out. First thing we need to get is some sheeted wired cable. I got this in Woodies for $2.50 per meter, and obviously I measured out that I needed 5 meters of it. So all that is 4mm steel cable wrapped in 2mm plastic coating, so 6mm size in total. The next thing I need are some swivel pulleys. Obviously they need to be able to accommodate at least a 6mm cable. Now you can pick up 2 of those in Woodies for $7.29, bringing it up to $14.58, or there are other more high-end options, depending on what exactly you're trying to do. So if I only get the swivel pulleys from Woodies, they're going to create a kind of closed system where I won't ever be able to pull the cable outside of the pulley. Whereas if I go for ones that are a little bit more high-end, they might have a bit bigger of a gap that I can freely just pull the cable in and out through the pulley, meaning that I can use different cables for the same pulley. I need to get Thimbles. Again, I'll get those for really cheap in Woodies, literally $1.38 for a 2-pack. I need some cable wire rope clips. Again, all these need to be able to accommodate 5 to 6mm cable. So I need 2 of those. I can get a 3-pack for 79 cents in Woodies. I'm also going to get a different type of cable rope clip, so called a Simplex clip. That is just a way for me to tidy up the end of my cable and keep everything nice and snug. Again, 2-pack for $1.49. Next up then I need to get some carabiners. So you're going to need 4 carabiners. M8 is the size I went for, and I can get those at 10-pack in Screwfix for $9.35. So from there, in terms of my loading pins and my attachments, we have multiple options depending on our price range. So if I want to make up my own loading pin, I can literally just use a rope or a ratchet strap or anything like that at all to pick that up for maybe like a $5 and just make a makeshift one. or I could head online and buy an actual purpose-built one for, let's say, around €15 on maybe Amazon or Wish. On top of that then, for my actual handle attachments, I can make myself up a rope handle attachment if I wanted for cheap, out of literally just some rope or a ratchet strap, or maybe even a martial arts belt. And for a D-handle attachment, I could literally just cut off some PVC pipe and also just loop some rope or some strap through that and just create a purpose-built kind of handle then also. Or we can go for an actual higher end purpose-built handle attachments. So there are also some things I need to take into account, that if I want to have two different length cables, so like I said, if I want to just have one that's suitable for a high pulley, and then I want to have one that can be used as a low or medium pulley that's fully adjustable, you are going to need some extra sheeted wire cable. So say for me, with the measurement I took out, I'd want to maybe get 6 meters in total rather than just 1 meter. Depending on which pulley I get, I might need to get another one or I might not. I would need 2 extra Thimbles, obviously for the extra cable. I'd need 2 extra cable wire clips, and I'd need 2 extra Simplex clips, okay? So, further breakdown then of the actual cheapest build. If I got basically everything from Woodies, so the sheeted wire cable, the swivel eye pulleys, Thimbles, cable wire clips, Simplex cable wire clips, and then my Carabiners from Screwfix, and then made up my own loading pin and my own kind of handles, that would bring me to a grand total of €49.04. If I want to have the 2 different length cables with the extra bits, it would bring me up to $62.45, because I would have to buy an extra pulley for my shorter cable, because like I said, you wouldn't be able to pull the end of the cable in and out through the pulley, so you would have to buy 1 extra pulley. If however I go for the more expensive build out, the only thing I'm really changing is where I get my pulleys from, and also my loading pin and my handles. So if I got 2 of the more expensive pulleys from Amazon that have a little bit more space between the actual wheel and the anchor point, you'd be looking at a price of €17 per pulley, bringing the total up to $33.98 rather than $7.29 of Woodies. For the loading pin, I can get those for roughly €15 on Amazon also, and then I can get kind of purpose-built rope handle and D-handle attachments for just under €30 on Amazon as well. So if I went for that sort of build out, that would bring me up to $88.66 for my kind of low adjustable pulley. And if I want to have the 2 different length cables, I wouldn't actually need to buy an extra pulley here, because I'm able to swap out cables in the pulleys if I go for the more expensive ones. So it would only be around €6, 12 cents more for the extra cable, Thimbles and clips for this more expensive build out. So that would bring it to a grand total of $94.78, okay? So literally, if you're just going for your low kind of adjustable pulley, that would either be $49.04 or $88.66 depending on what you're willing to spend. And if I want to have 2 different length cables, so basically I want to make kind of 2 cable systems for myself, one that's low and adjustable, and then the high cable, that would be $62.45 for the cheaper build and $94.78 for the more expensive build. So it's an absolute bargain overall compared to the price of a lot of the other systems that are out there. Like there's literally ones that are up beyond €200 for what we're going to make. So we can make those for literally half the price and literally equal quality of build. So let's get cracking on putting the whole thing together. So just to show you the way that the end of the cable should look. Basically the eyelet goes in first. From there we clamp that in place using these little clamps here. And then we put our last one on at the end. If there's any excess coming off, you can either leave it on or cut it off. I cut it off for mine, just so I like the look of it when it's nice and tidy. But if you want to leave it hanging out so that it's adjustable, you can do that, okay? So this is just one that I made before, but I'm gonna go ahead right now and actually put together the one that I'm going to use. Okay, so first things first, we have to take one fresh side of our cable, and we are basically going to make that to look like this, okay? So we have our eyelet first. That is going to go around the end of our cable. So you're obviously just going to want to leave a little bit of excess on the end. Now obviously this is steel cable. It is hard to get to move into position. So you're going to obviously need your toolbox here, maybe some pliers or a vice grips or anything like that, just to help you kind of get it into place. Okay, so I'm just going to work through this here now. Okay, so now that I have one of these on first, next thing I can do then is start working my eyelet into the cable. So all I do from here is I just start trying to slide this up while keeping the
eyelet kind of locked into place. Now this is going to take a bit of wiggling around with. If you have like a table vise or anything like that, it'd be absolutely great here. But you can get it fairly tight just by hand and then play around a bit with it from there. Okay, so fairly happy with where that's at for now. So I am just going to go ahead for now and I'm going to tighten up this little clamp on my cable. So that's that first little bit done. Now you could, by all means, you could just use like another one of these here if you wanted and just tie it down and leave it as it is. I want to tidy it up though, and I'd like to kind of make sure that my cable is going to be like nice and secure towards the end. So I just like to use this like slightly different type of bracket then here. So I'm just going to open this all the way out. And then all I really have to do here is take off my little panel. It's just going to sit over my cable like so. Now you might need a screwdriver, pliers, whatever, just to actually force your cable down into the bracket. Okay, that is one side done and pretty much ready to go. I can take my bolt cutters later on and just tip off this, but there's very little excess on this here, so it doesn't matter too much. Okay, so next thing now, I am going to set this up into my rack and I'm going to see roughly where I need to cut the other end. So now that I have one end of my cable set up, the next thing to do is to stick up my high anchor point, because obviously I'm making my low cable today, or my kind of full proper adjustable cable system. So I am going to anchor onto the top here. I'm going to set my cable up and just kind of bring it across to my low anchor, and then I'm going to see how much excess is left off that I need to cut. Okay? All I'm doing for today to stick this onto the strap is I just have like these little straps at home that have little buckles either side. You can easily tie this on with a rope or a ratchet strap or anything like that at all. Or if you're using something that already has a kind of hook attached, you can literally just go straight on and hook straight into whatever you're working with. Okay? Because it's not always just going to be a rack like this. Okay, so let's get it stuck on. So if you're wondering how I go about anchoring this in say like a full rack or whatever for using a low pulley, I'm actually going to use my barbell as my other anchor point. And that's what makes this like a fully adjustable system. Because if I just let the height of the barbell up in the rack, that's obviously just changing the height of my pulley. Similar to an actual cable crossover in the gym if you're lucky enough to have access to one. A good tip here is to reverse your J-hooks in your rack. Just because sometimes depending on the angle you're pulling or whatever, you don't want your barbell to be kind of less secure, so it's obviously going to be more secure if I'm pulling that way, that the barbell can't actually move anywhere. You're also going to want to load up your barbell with some weights. So obviously say if I'm going to be lifting say 20 kilos here, you're going to want at least maybe 30 to 40 kilos on your barbell, obviously so that your anchor point isn't lighter than what you're actually lifting. Okay?
Like this. We did it like that and now we do it like this. Go inside your mind and find a time that you miss. Go inside your mind.
Another little tip here is when I'm creating my anchor point down low, the cable actually has to pull through the top here for it to work properly, obviously if I'm going to be pulling at an upward angle. So I am just going to lock my cable into place, and then this will kind of pull through here like so. Now this will obviously kind of work now as it is, but there's no need for me to have all this excess. Now I got kind of a good bit too much extra. I could easily, if I wanted, even make another cable out of this for like a shorter apparatus, similar to say just for our tricep extension or anything like that. Okay? Right, so from pulling this out here now just with a little bit of tension on it, I know from seeing the other side obviously that there is like going to be like a little bit that loops back over from my thimble and my kind of clamps and stuff. So I'm obviously going to not want to cut here. I'm just going to want to come up a few inches from there and then kind of go. So somewhere roughly around here should be absolutely fine for me. So I am just going to cut this now. Hopefully I can get them on. Perfect. Okay, let's put together the other side and get this thing working properly. So I am just sizing it up based off of the opposite side. So what I may actually do this time is stick this little clamp on first, and then I'll work the rest of it into place then from here. Alright, there we have it. That's our 2 ready to rock. So as you can see, it's literally just perfect. I was left with just the exact right amount for the head of the cable to be just outside of the pulley, okay? We can even set up for proper lap pull downs by going for 2 high anchors so that we can pull like completely vertically. Now depending on the length of cable you have, if you don't have a pulley that's set up long enough to be able to reach the floor here, you can obviously just elevate one end on like a box or whatever you need to, up, straight across and back down. If you have a straight bar or whatever you want to use for this, you can. Any sort of bar would do here once you can get kind of anchored on, and then from there we can do our proper lap pull downs. Now obviously when the weight goes heavy, you might start crying out, oh, what if the weight starts pulling me up, I'm not secure into place. We can easily kind of get set up into the rack then. I've got my pulley system set up. I'm sitting on the bench with weights in the rack. So just make sure the weights are kind of roughly around the same weight as you, if not a little bit heavier. I can wedge my feet in right underneath the bar, so it's the exact same as if you're in a regular gym doing a lap pull down. Sit into my bar, and then we can do our reps from there. We can even make a dual cable setup for exercises like cable flies using 2 pulleys basically. So all you want to do is get 2 cables that are the same length, have an anchor point cut roughly around the same length. Just make sure you have an area big enough that you can actually perform the exercise safely, and then we can kind of work away with our cables from there. Okay, so that's why I recommend making your own, but it's up to you to make the informed choice whether you have the kind of tools available to you and you want to put the effort into kind of making your own one. I enjoy doing projects like that, so obviously like I love making these. I think it's like really fun to do. But if it's somebody else, you just want to get in and train, you're not arsed for kind of making it yourself, then by all means you could go online and buy a pre-made system. Obviously with everything going on in the world right now too, you could be waiting months for it actually to get delivered, whereas the hardware stores are all open, so you could get down and make one today if you wanted. So please like the post, follow the page for more, save it to your collection if you want to keep it there for use in future. And if you have any requests for me to do any more instructionals or anything like that, any exercise you want to see or anything you want to know more about, drop a request down in the comments below and I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks.
Break it down.